Hello, my name is Dante Renee, and welcome to the 10 Room Bizarro YouTube page where I talk about films that I believe need to be talked about more. Like tonight's film, this is a very special film to me because this is the first time I've seen this film in probably since my childhood. This is, I believe, one of the last pieces of cinema that I have excavated from my younger years, childhood, teenage years. You know how you're always frantically searching for every music album and for every movie and maybe every television show that you've seen or that you experienced. And this seems to be one of the stragglers, one of the last ones. Is it the last one? I don't know. Will I excavate more? I have no idea. But this one is called Moving Violations, and it's from 1985. Here it is, folks. And it was just kind of recently released on Blu-ray. This Blu-ray right here by Kino Lorber. This is the back here. So show you some shots. So this was just released on Blu-ray, and I just can't believe it, actually. So I believe it was on DVD, kind of hard to find in a way, and then eventually something was making me not buy it, and then I guess I waited for the Blu-ray without even knowing it. It says in the front, a crash course in traffic school from the creators of Police Academy. This is Moving Violations. I just can't believe this because this is a film I haven't seen in probably since like 1986. So this is pretty wild. Some crazy stuff. We have John Murray in here. Yes, part of the Bill Murray family, a brother of Bill. And John was actually in Scrooged as well. And John really reminds me of Bill's humor and his mannerisms and everything. We have Jennifer Tilly in this film. We have Brian Backer from Fast Times at Ridgemont High. We have Wendy Jo Sperber from Bachelor Party. Fred Willard from A Mighty Wind and many more things. Sally Kellerman from Back to School. Rodney Dangerfield's love interest. James Keach from National Lampoon's Vacation. Ugh, totally wild. And the director and co-writer, the director of this film is the director of Police Academy, the original Police Academy. And it was co-written with Pat Proft, who did Real Genius. So this is some wild stuff here, folks. And I want you to keep your eyes peeled in this film too, because there are two actors in this film who are two actors in the horror film The Burning also. And also keep your eyes peeled very quickly, because I believe that the fat kid from the Monster Squad plays in a traffic video, a bloody traffic video in this film as well. Really quick. Moving Violations, keep your eyes peeled. There's tons of people in here that you're going to see. Some people, some faces you know if you know 70s and 80s cinema and even modern stuff. These people have gone on and done things. There's even the old lady from the Where's the Beef commercials, I believe. She is in this film as well. Wow. So let's get into this movie here. Moving Violations essentially deals with a group of people who don't at first know each other, who all have traffic violations. So much so that they lose their licenses, their cars all get impounded, and they all wind up at traffic school together. So that these people who never knew each other originally now are experiencing the camaraderie of each other in traffic school. And with all of that said, we have two police officers that are completely batshit crazy who are running this traffic school. And when I say batshit crazy, really, the guy is unbelievable. He's a twitch in his eye, and he runs and writes on the chalkboard in crazy movements. But there is levels of rage and violence between these police officers and John Murray's character in the film, and their interactions with each other and their vengeance and just utter hatred towards John Murray's character. in this film, and we experience all of these traffic school people in their individual worlds and also in their collaborative world with each other, and all of the adventures and journeys that these individuals have, but also their adventures and journeys once they meet together. Um, and there is some crime in the police force as well with these officers, and there is some justice that needs to be had from the common folk, and all of these things mixing together in outrageousness with the humor and bits of slapstick and just some wild situations, and the very, very fast, quick-paced action humor in here as well, very slapstickish. And just some creative humor in here. And I got to tell you, this film is rated PG-13. So, you know, this was the time, 1985. You know, they were doing a lot of PG-13 films, and you know, what were the rules for PG-13? You know, I remember another PG-13 film that I went to go see in the theater called Johnny Be Good, which had topless nudity in there. Now, this particular film, there's one fuck, one F-bomb, multiple, you know, kind of shits and dicks and or things like that in the film, verbiage-wise, and some pretty crazy sexual situations. No nudity, but crazy nonetheless, and I'll get into that. So let's look at Moving Violations here, folks. This is, I mean, this is pure 1985 comedy, character comedy, friend comedy, action comedy, slapstick. It's all in here, and a bit of some, you know, people chasing each other, and a car, you know, running through a funeral parlor and smashing through it, and the coffin goes flying, and the grave diggers are digging the for later on, and the coffin just lands in it, and they just decide, okay, we'll just bury the coffin. I guess it's the right time. You know, that type of stuff in here as well. There's an absolutely unbelievable situation in this film involving a girl thinking that a guy that runs a car clinic is actually running a doctor's clinic, and she's a hypochondriac, and she winds up thinking it's for her naked body and not her car. Anyway, we're gonna some wild stuff. Let's look at the music first for this 1985 film, Moving Violations. First off, we have this unbelievable main theme song in this film. I got to tell you, it is awesome. It is amazing. If you love 80s pop music, you're going to love the theme song. Moving violations when I move. Watch me. Doom, doom, doom. You know, I've had that song in my head for 20 plus years. And even, you know, not remembering all the situations of the film, I still had that song in my head when I would come across the title for Moving Violations. So we have that theme song in here. We also have, you know, cues of 80s electronic action, orchestrated action type cues. Also a little bit of romance cues in the 80s style. Some suspense and tension. We also have the Sammy Hagar song, Drive, I Can't Drive 55 or something like that, 65. I forget how the title of the song, but that song is in here as well. We even have an alternate kind of 80s poppy rendition of the James Brown song, I Feel Good. And just some almost Police Academy or police, whenever you see a movie with police in it, sounding music, you know, kind of the marching drum and the military style sounding score, that's in here as well. So we have all of those different audio palettes in Moving Violations. Now, in terms of the kind of the style of the film, there is a lot of fast-paced wildness in here, and there's, you know, I recall one swipe in the film, just one in the latter portion of the film. There was this one swipe scene change in the film, but there's just wildly fast action vibes in this film with the comedy. Um, and John Murray really kind of has that bad boy, rebellious, kind of head of the class clown vibe to his whole character in this film. And he really is the lead in the film and kind of leads the rest of the group at the traffic school towards justice, but he's also a total rebel and he's awesome at it. The group of characters at the traffic school are just very interesting. We have a rocket scientist played by Jennifer Tilly. There's a sex scene in a gravity kind of a gravity chamber, and their clothes float off of them and the clothes start having sex with each other. Yes, that type of craziness. We go to a punk club, kind of like a new wave, actually like an 80s punk club with like neon hair. We have a backwards car chase where a car can only go in reverse, and interrupting a parade with ducks and some kind of beauty pageant. We have an old woman who can't see, yet she drives. A puppeteer gone punk in the film. We have a single father of two, and I gotta tell you, we have a character in this film that reminds me of two characters in the popular 80s kind of comedy Summer School, who's a horror fan. We have a horror fan in this movie. A guy who talks about the Friday the 13th, a guy who talks about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and he even has a chainsaw at one point and a hockey mask. I mean, we got that in this film here, and so that was just awesome. He's constantly making references to bloodshed and violence and doing, kind of horror pranks on other people in the film. And that was really, really cool in here. So you have that. We also have his interaction with an absolutely bloody traffic video involving children in this film. And there are some side characters in the film that don't really have a lot of dialogue, who are also just as great, like this Asian guy in the traffic school who just stares straight ahead. And there is an absolutely batshit bonkers S&M sex scene in the film between police officers, and involving then a blind old woman as well. It's edgy, it's wild, it's crazy, and it's in here. We have a guy who's absolutely terrified of his father, and he hopes that his father won't find out that he lost his license. We have a couple instances of breaking the fourth wall in the film, where characters will look straight at the camera and kind of wink at the camera. We have a twist ending in the film, and I say it's a twist ending. I don't want to say really a twist ending, but it's, it seems like a happy ending, but then it's really kind of twists on that a little bit. It does a variation of what a happy ending could be, because maybe it's not necessarily happy. So we have all of these different elements in here, and we do have a hypochondriac woman, as I mentioned before, and a lot of talk about her rear end and looking in it and getting in it. There's a lot of there's a whole section of kind of like that Three's Company type of humor of double entendres constantly, and an absolutely perfect scene, as I stated previously, of a naked woman on a car lift. I mean, just the whole situation is just amazing, and her running on the highway. There's wild stuff in here. It's really, in many regards, the people versus the police officers. And, you kind of see that abuse of power by authority figures in moving violations, and that abuse of power specifically by police officers. And then we also have it gets pretty wild. There's even an arm wrestling match that involves kissing. Yes, that actually involves kissing. So we have all of these elements here. You're even going to see an old woman get drunk. You're going to see Dobermans chasing a man in a hockey mask with a chainsaw. It's all in here, folks. And it's a fast-paced, how long was this? This is a fast-paced 90 minutes. It's fun, it's edgy, it's sexy, it's crazy, and it's a crazy 80s comedy that nobody talks about. This is 1985's Moving Violations. Here it is, folks. It's something special. It really, really is. I think that's the original poster art right there, too, as well. So there it is, folks. Put out by Kino Lorber. I picked this up for about 19 bucks on Amazon. So there it is. Thank you so much for watching the 10 Room Bizarro YouTube page, where I talk about films that I believe need to be talked about more, like 1985's Moving Violations. Please feel free to check out my own personal films by Googling Apartment 1014 Films. Thank you so much, and good night.